Smoke billows from the heart of the Sibian Sea. MUSASHI, one of the world's mightiest battleships, lists helplessly to port. Her massive hull bears gaping holes from enemy fire. The superstructure burns against the darkening sky of October the 24th, 1944. Her bow disappears beneath the blood-red, oil-slicked waters, and the Leviathan's stern rises skyward one final time before vanishing into the depths. But how did Japan's unsinkable fortress of steel get swallowed by the sea? In the late 1930s, tensions had escalated across the Pacific. In preparation for the oncoming conflict, Japan built Yamato-class battleships. MUSASHI was the second ship in this class, and she was laid down in 1938. MUSASHI stretched 862 feet 10 inches long and displaced 73,000 tons when fully loaded. With steam turbines generating 150,000 shaft horsepower, she could reach a top speed of 27 knots. She could steam 7,200 nautical miles without refueling thanks to her 6,300 tons of fuel capacity. Inside, the ship was so huge that crew members needed directional signage to navigate without getting lost. MUSASHI carried 9 giant 18-inch guns that could hurl shells the size of small cars over 25 miles. She also had dozens of smaller guns for both ship-to-ship combat and shooting down aircraft. To protect all this firepower, her sides were wrapped in armor thicker than most battleships of the time. Her gun turrets were protected by armor up to 25 inches thick. Beneath the waterline, more than 1,000 watertight compartments were designed to keep her afloat even under heavy battle damage. On paper, MUSASHI was indestructible. But the war would prove otherwise. Commissioned in August 1942 under Captain Kaoru Arima, MUSASHI replaced Yamato as the combined fleet's flagship and sailed to Truk Lagoon in January 1943. She was involved in multiple sorties that yielded no enemy contact, while smaller vessels fought fierce battles. The mighty battleship spent weeks waiting at Truk or transporting troops and supplies. On March 29, 1944, MUSASHI was involved in her first combat after being ambushed by USS Tunny while departing Palau. The submarine fired 6 torpedoes at her. 5 missed, but the 6th blew a 19-foot hole near the bow, killing 7 crewmen and wounding 11. This exposed MUSASHI's weaknesses, and she returned to Japan for repairs. The engineers repaired the damage and reinforced her anti-aircraft defenses, removing 6.1-inch turrets and installing dozens of lighter anti-aircraft weapons. The ship had 130 25mm anti-aircraft guns, as Japan recognized that aerial threats had become the primary danger. The June 1944 Battle of the Philippine Sea validated these concerns as American carrier aircraft systematically destroyed Japan's remaining naval aviation. MUSASHI participated in the operation, but never engaged enemy surface forces, as over 400 Japanese aircraft were shot down alongside 3 aircraft carriers. Despite her massive firepower, she remained a passive observer to the annihilation of Japanese air power. From this point on, MUSASHI and surviving Japanese vessels would fight without air cover, leaving them vulnerable under American-controlled skies. In October 1944, American forces captured Leyte in the central Philippines, cutting Japan's access to oil and raw materials in Southeast Asia. This led to Operation Shogo, where Japan committed nearly all its remaining naval assets in a final attempt to destroy the Allied invasion fleet. The already depleted carriers under Admiral Ozawa were used as decoys to draw American carriers north of Leyte. Admiral Kurita's center force would then penetrate Philippine waters to attack vulnerable transport vessels. The center force, consisting of 5 battleships, 10 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers and 15 destroyers, departed Brunei Bay on October 20th. MUSASHI and her sister ship Yamato were part of this fleet. Without air support, the Japanese forces clearly understood the terrible odds they faced. Kurita's ships entered the Sibian Sea on the dawn of October 24th at high speeds, with MUSASHI positioned near the center of the formation. Musashi's crew manned battle stations, while anti-aircraft gunners prepared for a much-expected assault. American submarines had sunk 2 Japanese heavy cruisers, including Admiral Kurita's flagship, Atago. But Kurita survived by swimming to the destroyer Kishinami. A few hours past 8 a.m., American reconnaissance planes were spotted tracking the fleet while broadcasting positions to nearby carriers. The inevitable was about to unfold, as Admiral Halsey had committed 5 fleet carriers to stop Kurita's center force, launching hundreds of aircraft in coordinated waves. Helldivers and Avengers streaked toward the Japanese formation at 10:27 a.m., carrying armor-piercing bombs and torpedoes specifically intended for battleship targets. 8 Helldivers from USS Intrepid dove onto Musashi. A torpedo smashed into her starboard side amidships. The underwater explosion flooded the forward sections with tons of seawater, creating a list. Musashi's anti-aircraft batteries brought down 2 attacking aircraft, but this early success provided little comfort as subsequent waves approached with methodical precision. At noon, 8 additional Helldivers from Intrepid pressed their assault. A bomb penetrated the port deck and exploded near an engine room, severing steam lines and forcing abandonment of critical machinery spaces. Musashi's maximum speed dropped to 22 knots as her port inboard propeller lost power. 9 Avengers then attacked simultaneously from multiple directions, leaving 3 torpedo hits on the port side. One near the first turret, another flooded a hydraulic machinery room, forcing the main turrets to switch to auxiliary power, and a third destroyed an additional engine room. Musashi's forward freeboard decreased by 6 feet as she settled deeper into the water. Desperation drove extraordinary defensive measures as Musashi's crew fired Sanshikidan anti-aircraft shells from her primary 18-inch guns, which exploded and scattered thousands of steel pellets, creating massive shotgun-like defensive patterns. However, one shell detonated prematurely inside the middle gun barrel of the first turret, destroying the weapon's elevation mechanisms. The ship's main armament was reduced permanently by 1/3. At 1:31 p.m., aircraft from USS Essex and USS Lexington struck Musashi simultaneously. Hellcat fighters strafed exposed personnel while Helldivers hit near the forward turrets. 4 additional torpedoes struck the hull, causing massive flooding. Musashi now listed 1 degree to starboard, with her bow 4 meters down and speed reduced to 20 knots. At 3:10 p.m., 9 Enterprise Helldivers attacked with bombs, scoring 4 direct hits that started fires throughout her superstructure. 3 Avengers immediately followed with torpedo attacks that opened enormous holes in her starboard bow, reducing speed to 13 knots. The Americans maintained relentless pressure as aircraft delivered the final coordinated assault at 3:25 p.m. 13 bombs and 11 torpedoes struck the dying battleship during this attack, overwhelming all defensive capabilities. By 3:30 p.m., Musashi had been hit by 19 torpedoes and 17 direct bomb strikes. Numerous near misses had buckled her hull plates and destroyed her superstructure elements. Speed reduced to 6 knots, steering failed, and her rudder jammed. Captain Toshihiro Inaguchi refused to surrender without one final attempt at salvation. He ordered the engines restarted and aimed for emergency beaching. For a brief period, the crippled battleship managed 6 knots before her flooded machinery spaces failed permanently. With the bow completely awash and massive fires raging throughout the ship, the only option left was to save the crew. At 7:15 p.m., Inaguchi issued a command to abandon ship. Destroyers Kiyoshimo, Isokaze and Hamikaze began the evacuation, rescuing the survivors. Officers ensured wounded personnel reached life rafts first while maintaining order despite the chaos surrounding them. Captain Inaguchi then made his final decision to remain with his ship rather than face the disgrace of survival. At 30 minutes past 7, Musashi rolled onto her port side and vanished beneath the waves amid thunderous sounds of imploding compartments. Her stern briefly emerged above the surface before disappearing in a cloud of steam and debris. Around 1,300 of Musashi's crew survived, while over 1,000 of their comrades, including Captain Inaguchi, rested in their steel tomb 3,000 feet below. Musashi's annihilation marked the end of the battleship era, and her loss contributed to Japan's catastrophic defeat at Leyte Gulf. It was the end of the combined fleet as an effective force. The ultimate battleship had become obsolete before ever firing her main guns in the surface action she was designed for. Musashi's fate proved that naval warfare itself had transformed from battleships to aircraft carriers.